Great evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Cherie. I will be discussing with you this evening about cultural patterns. We just heard from Angela how cultural organization and culture is key to any organization, what it is and what it takes to have a great one. I'm going to be talking to you this evening about cultural patterns. We're going to discuss leadership and how it affects cultural patterns. We're going to talk about observable and hidden patterns, and we're also going to discuss how cultural patterns affect the performance of any organization. Cultural patterns, ladies and gentlemen, are the cultural norms and belief system that's embedded into the organization as a whole. So the associates within that organization is going to live, breathe, and exemplify the mission of an organization, what the leadership expects in an organization, and they're going to interact with one another at that level. Leaders in the organization are super important. I was always told that if you look at an organization as a whole, look at the dynamics, their behaviors, how they interact with superiors, with their peers, as well as with their customers, will determine how the leadership is in that company. Leadership comes down from the head. Everything comes down from the head. So it's very important that for any organization that you have a leadership in place that already exemplifies through their own actions how to model behavior of that whole entire organization. So really a leader has to take on what the organization is and what the organization is about, and model that before its people, so the associates will know how to interact with one another within that organization. That's really key in building cultural patterns, because again, cultural patterns is the language that the associates and leadership exemplify, not only within but also exemplified to the world. Observable and hidden behavior, secondly, we will be able to see what are the patterns of the associates. So for example, if you go to Quick Trip, they have an amazing organization, but every time you walk into a Quick Trip, an associate is going to tell you hello. That is an observable pattern. As well as Chick-fil-A, as soon as you say thank you for anything that Chick-fil-A associates do for you, it is their embedded pattern, observable pattern, to say my pleasure. And there are many other organizations that do the same. But that's when you walk into an organization and it's going to be able to tell what that organization is about, that they value their people and they value their customers. Hidden patterns is going to be more of your systems that are in place. So it's the efficiency. So for example, if you've noticed that when you've gone to a Chick-fil-A, you may notice that there are people outside taking your orders before you even get up to the menu. And on top of that, after you've given their order, you pull up not to the window anymore to get your money taken. They're outside in tents. And so by the time you get up to the window, they're passing their order to you, or they're walking it out to you. They have created a hidden system that creates high efficiency for not only their customers, but as well as the associates that work there, and they're still going to say my pleasure after each transaction that takes place. So that's just a hidden pattern. You may have been able to observe it, but you may not have known what systems were in place to be able to do so with that. Thirdly and finally, we're going to talk about the effects of organizational performance. Now, according to Daft and Wick, they determined that culture affects performance because it affects how people think, feel, and act, and which helps to determine the situation in which they act. So however a culture makes a person feel is going to determine their level of performance. So you want to make sure within an organization that you're able to connect with your associates, your peers, your customers, and your leadership with how they think, with how they feel, and how they act, and in order to get high performance return out of your associates. The way to do that is leadership. Again, leadership is going to step in. They're going to encourage the people. They're going to create high levels of compensation in order to get high levels of performance. So compensation can come in many ways. It could become encouraging words. It could come in higher wages. It could come in more time off. It could come in, bonuses. We all love those, right? So if the leadership is there, or just saying a good pat on the back and saying, hey, you did an amazing job, and broadcast that to the world, there are many ways that any organization can affect the patterns, implement hidden patterns as well as observable patterns in order to help push their people up and help organizations to exceed, not maintain the status or that they're looking for, but to exceed the performances of their people. It's kind of a give and take of a situation. It's kind of a give and take relationship. So you want to know who is among you. You also want to know what systems are in place and how, as a great leader, you can help them get through the system very efficiently, and the best way to get them there so they feel good about what they're doing. On the flip side, if you were to, be a detrimental one that is a negative, that's more demanding, you're putting more on your people that you're even willing to do. You're not a great leader. You're not a great example. You're going to have high turnover. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I have been in organizations such as those. So you definitely want to ensure that your people know that you have their best interests at heart, so they in turn can have your best interests at heart, as well as an organization as a whole. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. In conclusion, we have gone over cultural patterns. Cultural patterns is really the language that an organization and a group of associates get together, the way they're able to interact with one another through leadership, through customers, through their peers. This is the norms, the acceptable behaviors that everyone has decided is going to be a winning win for everyone involved. So please remember that cultural patterns is all about leadership. It's about understanding those observable patterns, those hidden patterns, and understanding how all those play a major part in the performance of any organization. Next, you're going to hear from Leah, and she's going to discuss with you about organizational competence and how it is key to excelling in any organization that you have. Thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, and I do look forward to working with you again. Thank you so very much. Goodbye.